dogs aren't emotional.
Unlike your owner, who's very emotional.
But that is the number one biggest problem with dogs, I believe. It is the owners. Every single issue a dog has can be traced back to human error, knowingly or unknowingly. Yeah. Most of my clients have messed up dogs, and nothing bad's ever happened to them physically. They've never been hit. They've never been screamed at. They've never been punished in a sense, but they're nervous. They act like they have been abused. They're nervous. They're unsure. And it's because of the lack of discipline, the lack of consistency. Yeah, 1 minute they're allowed to do something, next minute they're not. The owners are too emotional. When you get nervous dogs, when you get a rescue dog, when you get a puppy, we go with emotions. Oh my God, it's so cute. Or, oh my God, it's a rescue. It must have had such a traumatic time. Yeah? Or if your dog's just a general dog, if it's got a fear of something. Oh my God, the dog's nervous. So we get really emotional. We feel sorry for the dog. But yet when you see a dog, see that dog. When you brought Bruno in and Bruno was scared, my dogs come over, my dogs didn't care that Bruno was scared. Yeah? There's a video of Sammy who, basically an Australian cattle dog, went over the top OTT with her when she got too near to the owner. And Sammy went to walk away and ignored the behaviour, which is a way of dealing with something, and then it went for Sammy again. So Sammy put it in his place, pinned it down. Sammy didn't care that the Australian cattle dog was nervous or panicked, that the Australian cattle dog's crossed the line. But humans, we're scared to discipline our nervous dog because we're worried it's going to make them more nervous. We're scared to discipline a rescue dog because we're worried it's going to hurt the dog's feelings, or it's going to make them more worried and things like that. And the reality is, right, that actually makes them worse. Nervous dogs.
Yeah, please. I've made Bruno worse without a shadow of a doubt. I know that now.
We look at things emotional. We worry too much. We worry that disciplining the dog's going to make them more nervous. We worry that we're going to hurt their feelings. We're worried the dog's not going to love us enough. We're worried. We're too emotional every time we look at a problem. And emotion clouds judgment. Yeah?
Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, I have. The e-collar I thought would hurt him, but I actually think the lead probably hurt him more.
Of course, but people are often worried about e-collars hurting dogs. Again, but they're looking at it emotionally. They think you're shocking your dog.
Yeah, but and when you feel it doesn't feel like anything.
No, exactly.
But I've half strangled him on
I mean, this week, I mean, since the This Morning Britain programme, you got Dogs Trust, who are an absolutely terrible organisation, fighting to try and ban the remote collar. Yeah, there's countless videos out there. Bruno, it's just the neighbour. Yeah, you felt the e-collar on yourself, and you're one of the most emotional people I've ever met when it comes to dogs. I mean, and you actually was in tears when you first come here.
I didn't like it.
Not because of anything I did.
No,
just for the record. Not anything I did to your dogs. I didn't even touch your dogs, nothing like that. You was just in an emotional state at that day. Yeah? But you was obviously hesitant about using a remote collar.
Yeah.
Because, again, you're looking at it from an emotional standpoint. You think it's going to hurt your dog. Yeah, you can hurt your dog with a remote collar. You can. But you can also use it the right way, and you can help your dog. You can use the program that This Morning Britain. You don't watch it because it's all fabricated. The remote collar they used on it had 4 settings.
Right.
And on the lowest setting, it hurt. And it was a completely biased setup from the start. Alright, and you've got somebody going on there from Dogs Trust saying that you can train dogs with all these scientifically proven methods. Yet Dogs Trust can't find a decent trainer to save their life.
Right.
Yeah, every dog that I've ever trained from Dogs Trust, and I'm training more from Dogs Trust than ever before because the Dogs Trust that opened in Basildon.
Right.
They all have trainers on site. They have behaviourists on site. Yet, if their dog trainers are so good, why am I training their dogs? It's because they're selling an ideology, right? And I don't want to get into purely positive training or anything like that because I've got enough posts on that. But they're fighting to ban a tool, which it's ridiculous. a tool that elicits so much emotion.
Yeah.
But what you said, when I pointed it out to you, when he reacts and you have to restrain him with the lead, you're actually causing more trauma to the dog than you would through an e-collar.
Well, that I've wrestled with him on that lead before.
But again, people are more than happy to wrestle with their dog because it's on a lead and leads are deemed acceptable. So it's more than happy for you to restrain your dog, for you to give your dog a little pop on the lead, for you to grab the dog by the collar, lift them up in the air if necessary, or physically use force to remove them from a situation if they've gone over that threshold, right? But using an e-collar, because of what society has led people to believe, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
When you're looking at it now, I mean, look at Bruno. Bruno's gone from being a mess to actually, for the first time ever today, was off with other dogs, enjoying himself, off sniffing. He didn't feel the need to stick to your leg like glue. Another common misconception people have about e-collars, they think you're building robotic dogs. But again, we've gone a bit off topic with e-collars, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I think...
Again, it goes back to emotion.
Yeah.
People are too emotional when it comes to helping their dogs. It suffocates the dog.
Oh yeah, no, that's me all round, isn't it?
If you look at a dog, the way the dogs interact with each other, dogs are not emotional. Yeah? A dog will come in straight away and they'll assess that dog for what it is. They don't care if it's injured, they don't care if it's nervous. They judge the dog then and there. They're not emotional, they don't take things personally. Alright? They just react. And as a result, that's why dogs are often better with dogs than they are with people, because the people are the ones that add the emotion to it. Bruno's actually now sitting by my door because I put the other two outside because they've been rolling around in crap where we've just been out. Right, so the other half's upstairs bathing, cleaning them up. Right, and Bruno is actually sitting by the door. The first time Bruno came round, he was hiding under my table. And in that time, Bruno's been e-collar trained, right? But he's gravitating to the dogs, and the reason he's gravitating to the dogs is because the dogs are completely normal. The dogs don't look at him like he's a rescue dog that lived on the streets. The dogs don't look at him like he's a nervous dog. The dogs don't care what baggage he has. The dogs don't care if he likes people or not. The dogs don't care. See, look, he's listening. Every time he hears them upstairs, Roxy just come out of the bath because I can hear Roxy doing a little break dancing on her head, right? But Bruno wants his friends back.
Oh yeah,
and so it doesn't matter what educational background you've got. It doesn't matter how many books you read, how many scientific studies you bring up. The best teachers for animals are dogs. I've learnt more watching dogs interact than I ever could from any book or study.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think they taught Lolly how to be toilet trained. I didn't.
Yeah.
They took her
Monkey see, monkey do.
she never weed in the house.
That's why if you've got balanced dogs, they're the centrefold, they're the key point to helping a dog. There's been jobs that I've been on where the dog has been so nervous that just me moving my hand, the dog would just flee. I could be sitting on the sofa completely ignoring the dog and just me moving my hand, the dog could flee, right? And the dogs have been that nervous that I thought that just even me getting anywhere near them, it's just gonna... I figured there's a better way that I can help this dog. So I bring Sammy, get my assistant to get Sammy, bring Sammy in, and almost instantly, as soon as you bring the dog in, instantly that dog starts to come out, and then you can use the dog to bridge the gap. If you've got badly behaved dogs and you add another dog into the mix, chances are they're going to mirror the bad behaviours, but the dogs that they're mirroring aren't balanced. But if you bring a balanced dog, a dog that has no baggage, a dog that has no issues, a dog that's sociable, a dog that listens, a dog that's trained, like Sammy, like Roxy, like so many others out there, and you put that around an unstable dog, the unstable dog will often mirror the stable dog. Yeah, and then if you watch the way they interact and actually start to behave the way they do, and I'm not saying pretend you're a dog, so I'm not talking about pinning the dog down or using your hands to mimic a bite or things like that, because that's stupid. But just what you want to look at is the presence and the way the dogs use their body and the way the dogs use their energy to communicate with each other. Yeah. For instance, when we work with a nervous dog, we go in with emotional. Right, it's all right, baby, and we want to be very soft. We want baby talk. What the fuck is baby talk? Yeah, we want to be very soft, we want to be very hesitant, and but when the dog comes out, they don't care. And that's why the dogs gravitate to the other dogs, because they don't care. And you've noticed that now. Like the past few sessions we've been doing, you get better and better, and you actually look more relaxed each time in life.
Yeah, no, I feel much better about him particularly, and it's funny because.
But look, I mean, obviously you can't see, but look where he is. He's not even by the table, right? The one that's actually by your side, but almost underneath the table, the one that's struggling to relax the most is the dog that you thought was the most confident.
Yeah.
And it's not that the dog wasn't the most confident, it's very true. The dog could have been a lot more confident than Bruno to begin with, but where Bruno had so bad issues, where you're working on Bruno's getting so much more confident in life, he's getting so much more relaxed in life, because you're separating your emotions, because you're stepping outside your comfort zone, because you're putting Bruno in situations you normally would avoid, because you're doing all of that, and because you're separating your emotions and staying nice and chilled out, confident, and advocating for Bruno the right way, because you're doing that, Bruno is a different dog. Each week he's getting more and more confident. To the point, this is the first time I've ever seen Bruno in an environment that wasn't his house, laying in the middle of the floor, nowhere near you, sleeping. He's just woke up because his ears are twitching, obviously knows we're talking about it. Yeah?
Yeah, no, he would.
But the reason we're seeing the quirks in your other dog is because Bruno is becoming the role model. Your other dog, Epi, always had issues. It's just Bruno's issues were so much worse, you never noticed it.
Oh yeah, completely.
Now Bruno's becoming a role model, becoming a balanced dog. You're seeing issues in the other dogs that you wouldn't normally have seen because you'd be focused so much on Bruno. Bruno's gone from the dog you wouldn't let off the lead to what you said earlier. Bruno's the first dog you let off the lead now. How bad's that?
No, yeah, no, definitely. He's awesome off the lead.
And as a result, you look so much more confident. And all you had to do was separate your emotions. And that's where people, they can't separate their emotions and do what's right. They listen, they take everything in, but they're afraid to discipline their dog because they're worried they're going to make it more nervous. They're afraid to use certain tools because they're worried it's going to hurt their dog. They're afraid to put their dog in certain situations.
Yeah.
And the whole time you're all emotional, you're sad, you're nervous, you're feeling sorry for the dog, you're anything but calm and confident. And all you have to do is put a confident dog around Bruno to see how that confidence helps the dog.
Yeah, no, and he doesn't, I was telling Neil yesterday, he used to frown all the time. He had this really, frowny face. And he doesn't frown. Like, you watch it, he's not frowning at all, he's all relaxed.
Look, he's relaxed. Look, his tail's not between his legs. I mean, you can't see Bruno. By the way, this is just a little podcast, but you can't see Bruno. But Bruno is laying in the middle of the floor. His tail's not tucked between his legs. He's very confident. There's noises outside, which would normally set him off because he's a nervous dog. He's chilled out and relaxed, and he is a street dog. Yeah. And again, for a long time you made excuses about it and avoided problems. Now you finally started addressing it. And what did you say earlier? It's only been a few weeks that you've seen a massive difference in him.
Yeah, it's completely different.
And how long have you had Bruno?
2 years.
You've had Bruno 2 years, and it's only been the last few weeks that you're seeing major improvements in him.
Yeah, I think it's.
And the only reason is because the last few weeks you've actually finally took on board what I've been saying to you, and you've managed to separate your emotions to do what's best. And as a result, Bruno's flourishing.
Oh yeah, completely.
The reason I get results with dogs, the reason I can go into a house with neurotic dogs that are a mess, take that lead and walk straight outside the house, and many times that dog will instantly act completely different, is because I go in without emotion. It's not that I don't like dogs, because that's why I love dogs, I work with dogs, right? It's not that I'm being harsh, it's if I go in with emotion, I treat it like every other person that's ever met that dog. And every other person that's ever met that dog isn't helping the dog, they're keeping the dog there. I come in, I recognise the dog's uncomfortable, but that's it, I need to put that to the back of my mind, I can see the dog's nervous, but I need to shut that door. And then just think logically, right, you're nervous of dogs, how can I help you? I can start at a distance, I can slowly introduce you to a stable dog, a dog that's not going to put pressure on you, and I can start to reward calming signals. If you react, I can recognise you've reacted, I can recognise you're reacting because it's too much for you, and I can take a further step back, right? So I can continually help the dog to keep it comfortable. But every time a dog reacts and I'm going to go, oh my god, it's reacted, oh, it's all gone wrong, I'm going to separate my emotions. I'm going to because I need to think logically. If you're thinking emotional, many times you're not thinking logically. Yeah, and that's how I can help them. I don't need to know that Bruno lived on the streets and maybe was attacked by a man to know that he doesn't like men. I just know that he didn't like men. But I'm not going to treat him the same way as everyone else. I'm not going to get down on my knees. I'm not going to hold my hand out. I'm not going to go, hello mate, how you doing? I'm not going to baby talk him because that's what everybody else does. And guess what? What everybody else doing wasn't working. I'm going to recognise that you're nervous at people. But if you try and bite me, you've got a problem. I'm not going to go, oh, it's because you're nervous. That's all right, mate. Every time you're nervous, feel free to bite me. No, you can't bite me. So I'm going to discipline him. I'm going to correct him. I'm going to let him know that trying to bite me sucks. Granted, he has never tried to bite me. I'm just talking hypothetically. But this is where people go wrong. Because they're worried that disciplining dogs will make them more nervous, they actually make the dog more nervous through their worrying.
Oh, God, yeah, no, I've done that. Hands down.
People, we're too emotional.
Oh yeah, I mean, God, yeah, that really used to make me cry, even if I think about it too long, it makes me cry. So yeah, I'm really impressed with him.
Well, what have you actually learned from this though, Bruno? Because Bruno can be a good teacher for you in life.
What have I learned from it? I think exactly what you were saying. I've separated the way I feel about him, and every time I think about him being a street dog, and started trying to focus on what he needs from me, and he needs me to be better. That's what I kind of say to myself all the time. He needs me to be a better dog owner. And that's what we've been doing. And we've put a lot of time into it, but the results are amazing.
But by stepping outside your comfort zone, right, by applying a bit of discipline to him, and when I say discipline, a discipline can be telling him no when he's trying to bite someone.
Yeah,
that's discipline. Right? Discipline doesn't mean kick your dog, pin your dog down. Discipline doesn't mean screaming at your dog. Discipline is just simply letting the dog know how they're meant to behave in a situation.
I don't think I ever shout at him.
No, but you don't need to, because the people that shout at dogs are often nervous dogs.
Yeah.
Right? There is no need to ever shout at a dog.
You just call him and he's like, oh, me, yeah.
Right? But obviously, I forgot where I was going with this. But so through the discipline, through putting him in situations you normally would have avoided, right, by stepping outside yours and Bruno's comfort zone, through all of this, has your relationship got worse? Have you made him more nervous of you?
Oh God, no, he's like the happiest dog.
Yeah.
He's really happy.
So the last few weeks he's happier than you've ever seen him in the 2 years you've had him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's really happy.
And this is what I want people to see. If people can just take one thing away from our conversation, if people can just take one thing away from what I'm saying, is discipline is healthy. Discipline is a way of life, okay? We all need to have discipline. Otherwise we descend into anarchy. We all need somebody to be there, right? We all need a bit of a support group. That's what the handler has to be for the dogs. They can't be an emotional wreck. They can't feel sorry for the dog every time life gets hard. They can't ignore the dog when the dog's doing something dangerous, right? And you need to be the one to advocate for your dog. You need to advocate for your dog when things are going good, and you also need to be the one to advocate when your dog's going bad. And the way you do that is by being confident, taking your emotions out of it.
Yeah.
And when you're home, be as sucky as you want, but there's a time and a place for it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. He's different at home. He's very different. He used to guard the house all the time.
Yeah, but again, there's no need for him now because he's an insecure dog that wants you to take that control away.
Yeah, he's definitely doesn't bark as much. It's been awesome.
No, I think you're doing really well. But Bruno, we need to educate the world in separating their emotions, because it's the emotions that are actually crippling dogs.
Yeah,
and if people can see that and understand that, then they can really start to help. And it took you a while to understand it, but the difference now, in you look more relaxed, you look happier. Bruno is happier as a result.
Definitely.
Keeping everything bottled up inside, being afraid to step outside your comfort zone. These are all posts that I put up recently, like different little segments, but being afraid to step outside your comfort zone, nothing good's ever come from that. Being afraid to do something, you're never going to do it. Making excuses. He's a rescue dog. Oh, he's nervous. Oh, he lived on the streets. Oh, he's just a puppy. You're making excuses. If you have to go out every day, go, I'm sorry. apologising for your dog's behaviour. If you're doing that every day, you have a problem. I'm sorry if you're having to do that. It's now you're using that as an excuse. He's a rescue dog. That's an excuse. He's a puppy. That's an excuse. They're all excuses for not doing what's necessary to help your dog. Because you're looking at it too emotional. I don't want to do it. Hello, dog. What do you want? Finally come to greet me? Oh, no. You can't see this, but I've got a Labrador that's just come over to say hello. Oh, and you got muddy paws and I'm wearing white. It's alright, I still love you. But, yeah. I just love to see Bruno not being a mess. He's a street dog that doesn't like people, very nervous of change, very nervous of just about everything, doesn't like things out of place. No. And now, he's under my table looking for something. What are you looking for now, Bruno? Alright, let's end